150 years ago, this party was
wrong.
begun by Abraham Lincoln on the idea that constitutional rights were not bound by race or creed, that the American eagle's wings were broad enough to accept all who would come here. Now this party is coming to Cleveland to die. This is not the party of Abraham Lincoln anymore. It is the party of Donald Trump. It has traded statesmanship for xenophobia. It has traded free markets for protectionism. It has traded the higher principles of our better angels for the belief in party identity politics. That is why they are getting 0% of the black vote in Pennsylvania. That is why you're going to continue to see this kind of race-baiting approach to politics. I think it's completely true that this is the end of the party of Lincoln.
Let me just say, this is the very type of elite Washington judgment that the voters in the Republican, let me finish. Let me go now. That the voters across this country are sick and tired of, not just Republicans, a lot of union voters, a lot of independent voters. They believe that when you tell them, these people who voted for Donald Trump in record numbers, when you call them racist or xenophobic, let me finish. When you say that they're race baiting or responding to those policies, you're judging them. And these are voters who have given him more votes than any Republican has run for office. I refuse to believe that those Republican activists and those conservative activists are racist and that they're ill-intended. They love their country and they simply want to take it back.
They are desperate for change. They are desperate for something different than the elites who have failed them for far too long. But they have turned in their desperation to a man who they don't fully understand and who is not going to deliver on his promises because he's taking us away from the principle that actually...
Great state of South Dakota.
So, Kim, do you have a way to adjudicate this debate?
Look, I think you have to make a distinction between the party and a man who's leading the somewhat controversial head of the party at the moment. In terms of the party, the Republican Party has always been a very dynamic and fluid entity that has a lot of changes and ebbs and flows in it. And I think what we're seeing again is some more changes out there. Donald Trump, again, he's going to have to try to unify some of this.
But, and Matt, back to Ben's point, though, and what I was talking about with the earlier guests, I mean, Senator Rubio isn't here, Susana Martinez, and Governor Nikki Haley. These are not elitists. These are people from in the states. They are governors. They used to be the farm team of the Republican Party. The farm team is not here. That seems to be a tension that needs to be explained.
I'm not going to spin you on this. I'm not going to tell you, oh, don't look at that. That doesn't mean anything. It does mean something. The fact is Donald Trump has not always been a Republican. He's a recent Republican. There's no question that he comes from outside the party, and he's taking on these elected officials who have been in power. And of course they're unhappy with it. It makes them uncomfortable. It makes a lot of people uncomfortable who are the party regulars who have been running these conventions every 4 years. And we shouldn't be surprised that that's happening. And here's the fact. What's going on in Republicans and conservatives' minds is this. They don't have to be for 100% of what Trump's for. They just have to be for 60% of what Trump's for. And that's the fight that's going inside all these voters' heads. And what they're going to see this week is going to tip it over that 50% mark. And you're going to come out of here with more Republicans and more conservatives. It might not be 90, 92%, but it's going to be right in that vicinity. And it's going to be enough with all the independents and all the unions and all the Democratic voters he's going to pull over. It's going to be enough to win in November.
I think the question, though, is if there's 10% they absolutely cannot vote for. You see what I'm saying? Yeah, like 60% of what he stands for. But if there's something that's just a deal breaker for them, then that's still a problem.
Do you think there is a deal breaker?
I think that for some Republicans out there still is a deal breaker, just with his personality, which is why this moment is so important for him. He's going to have to stand up and ask. One thing you never really hear Donald Trump say is, I really want your vote.
Do you think, though, given the qualms that people have, you can fix it with a PR show, which is what everybody here admits this is? I mean, these are deep questions that have been raised tonight.
Conventions are always about an opportunity for a candidate to showcase who they are. And yeah, they're a bit staged, but this is about Donald Trump letting people know who he is.
Donald Trump is currently running about 10 to 12 percentage points behind Marco Rubio in Florida. That's the difference that he needs to close. He needs to get those voters to come back and be convinced that he will be a better president than Hillary Clinton.
All right. Thank you all very much for this spirited discussion. We'll see after a week's work where we all are on our positions, and we'll be right back.